मिस्टर,
अपनी अंगूठी।
ना तो अंगूठी रही और कर ये किस्सा खत्म हो जाएगा। राबा करने से तुम्हारी फितरत दिख चुका है, सिर्फ मौत।
मुझे तो नहीं लगता।
नहीं, क्या हाल है?
बार के लिए
द विक, इसीलिए मैं हमारा दोस्त तुमने मारा है
मुझे।
हमारी डील
गुमनाम।
इसे मारना चाहते, मुझे भी इसे मारना है। प्योतर का बदला, उलझन खड़ी हो गई है। तो जीतने वाला तय
तुम्हारी औकात से
या फिर मुर्दा। मिस्टर विक, गुमनाम होकर कुत्ते वाला बंदा लगता है जैसे या तो तीनों मिलके एक बच सकता है। आकर बैठे थे तभी।
यानी तुम्हारे पास सारा बहुत बड़ा बेम
तो
ना उसकी डील मत लेना।
वैसा साला तुम्हारी आंखें भी उन्होंने निकाली।
आपकी क्या खिदमत कर सकता?
हाई टेबल से हमें आपके होटल की तलब
जानते हैं कोई भी तो
हम मार्की के लिए काम करते हैं साहब।
बोलते हैं कायर खामोश। आज इतने ठीक है,
क्या हम
नहीं सुलझेगा तुम दोस्ती निभाने का
होटल अब टेबल की हिफाजत में
मुझे हमला।
किस हक से तो मुझे भी।
ओए वहीं से निकल जाओ और जॉन
जरूर।
गेन।
हाँ,
मजबूरी थी। परिवार के लिए
तुमने बात खुद से
ट्रैकर हो ने मिल रहे हैं।
लेकिन भाव बढ़ अब है।
कौन कहाँ है? और भाग जाओ। तुम्हारा कोई लेना देना नहीं।
कि तुम्हें लगता है
मेरी तरफ और के
खातिरदारी कर
लगता है तो कौन करेगा ये? होगी।
कौन बोल रहा है? की जरूरत नहीं। बारात हो सकती है वहां की।
काम को अंजाम नहीं दे पाए मंजिल की तरफ।
सुन टेढ़े
इनाम की रकम अब बढ़ चुकी है। चुके हैं चर्च मिस्टर विक की आखिरी की मंजिल की सीढ़ियां।
पाएंगे।
तुम्हें किस
जानता हूँ।
John Wick, gravely wounded but ever resilient, races against the global power of the High Table. With a hefty bounty on his head and old alliances fraying, he seeks a path to freedom by challenging the ruthless Marquis de Gramont. This desperate quest takes him across continents, from the neon-soaked streets of Osaka to the chaotic boulevards of Paris, in a relentless fight for his very survival and a chance at peace.
सपोर्ट को मारेगा मेरे। अच्छा, और समझो।
शुरू करते हैं। सच्चाई की तलाश में
होगी दोस्त।
समर्पित करता हूं आए हुए। Fire!
बेटी के साथ तुम भी।
ये रहा तेरा अंजाम।
चुका दिए हैं जॉन विक। आपके नुकसान की पूरी भरपाई होगी, मिस्त्री कर दी जाएगी। अब हमारा काम
रहेगा।
जॉनथन, कौन जाने।
Hey guys, today we are diving headfirst into the absolutely brutal, stylish, and frankly exhausting world of John Wick Chapter 4.
If you thought John was getting a break after the last one, well, you clearly haven't been paying attention. This man has a serious case of bad luck, or perhaps just an inability to retire gracefully. We're going to break down every bone-crunching punch, every perfectly placed headshot, and every single moment that makes this chapter an epic, almost operatic conclusion to a part of John's saga. Before you head off, if you're enjoying the kind of content I make, please consider liking and subscribing. No pressure, but it truly helps me keep the action coming. Our story, or rather John's relentless torment, picks up with him recovering from his rather significant fall at the end of Chapter 3. He's been holed up with the Bowery King, who's sporting a new, decidedly less regal, but no less determined look. The king, still plotting his glorious return to power, has John training, getting him back into peak Baba Yaga condition. We see John practicing with a specially padded suit, slamming his fists into a wooden post, each strike a dull, rhythmic thud that speaks volumes about his simmering rage. The sound of his knuckles connecting, even through the padding, resonates with a deep, almost primal anger. He's not just healing, he's sharpening, honing himself into an even deadlier instrument of vengeance. The king, in his makeshift underground lair, delivers his signature cryptic wisdom, urging John to remember the simple truth: you want out? Kill them all. Simple, right? Just them all. Easy peasy. John, fueled by this straightforward advice, immediately sets his sights on the Elder, the High Table's ultimate authority, hidden deep in the scorching desert. It's a quick, almost poetic journey through vast, empty dunes, the whisper of the wind a stark contrast to the violence about to unfold. He finds the Elder, a man of quiet authority, nestled in a tent that offers little respite from the relentless sun. The Elder, seemingly unfazed by John's arrival, speaks of peace and the illusion of choice. He offers John a way out, a way to be free, if John only pledges fealty. But John, bless his heart, is past pledges. He's past promises. He just wants it all to end. With a sudden, decisive movement, a swift, almost soundless draw of his pistol, John puts a bullet squarely in the Elder's head. The sharp report of the gunshot echoes briefly across the silent desert, a grim punctuation mark to a conversation that was never really a conversation. The Elder's lifeless body slumps, the soft rustle of his robes the only sound. John is making a statement, loud and clear. He's not playing by their rules anymore. The High Table, as we all know, does not appreciate this kind of insubordination. This act, naturally, triggers a massive response. The High Table, in its infinite wisdom, appoints a new, incredibly dapper and utterly ruthless adversary, the Marquis Vincent de Gramont. This guy is the kind of villain who orders assassinations with a perfectly tailored suit and a smirk, truly embracing his role. His first order of business? To make an example out of John's closest allies and systematically dismantle everything John holds dear. And what better place to start than the New York Continental? With the Marquis's decree, the beloved sanctuary is officially deconsecrated. Charon, the ever-loyal concierge, finds himself in a rather sticky situation, facing the Marquis's icy wrath. The Marquis, flanked by his imposing guards, strolls through the elegant lobby, his expensive shoes clicking on the polished marble floors, a sound of impending doom. He delivers a chilling monologue about the necessity of order and the consequences of defiance. He then, with a casual flick of his wrist, orders Charon's execution. The crack of a pistol shatters the serene atmosphere of the Continental, a sound that resonates far beyond the walls of the hotel, signaling a new, darker era. Charon falls, a profound loss for John, and for us, the audience, who adored his calm professionalism. Winston, John's old friend and manager of the New York Continental, watches in silent horror, his face etched with a mixture of grief and simmering fury. His hotel, his friend, all gone, just like that. Winston is then given a stark ultimatum: hunt John or face his own demise. He's stripped of his managerial duties, the High Table's authority absolute and unforgiving.
But Winston, ever the strategist, sees an angle, a loophole in the high table's intricate web of rules. He explains to John that the only true way out, the only path to genuine freedom, is to challenge the Marquis to a duel under the high table's ancient code. It's a dangerous gambit, a near-suicidal undertaking. But for John, who's been fighting for what feels like centuries, it's the only option left. He's tired of running, tired of fighting endless waves of faceless assassins. He wants to end it, once and for all.
Our next major stop is Osaka. John needs to establish his family lineage, a prerequisite for the duel. This sends him to the Osaka Continental, managed by his old friend Shimazu Koji and his incredibly capable daughter, Akira. The Osaka Continental is a vision of modern Japanese elegance, all glowing lanterns, serene gardens, and hidden blades. It's a place of beauty, but one that soon erupts into chaos. The Marquis, knowing John's movements, sends a legion of high-table assassins to retrieve him. Among them is Kane, a blind, retired assassin, old friend of John's, forced back into service by the Marquis who holds his daughter's life hostage. Kane, despite his blindness, is terrifyingly effective, his hearing and instincts honed to an almost supernatural degree. His cane, fitted with a hidden blade, becomes an extension of his will, whistling through the air with deadly precision. The attack on the Osaka Continental begins with a subtle tension, a whisper of danger in the air, then explodes into an absolute symphony of destruction. High-table enforcers, clad in sleek tactical gear, swarm the hotel, their boots thudding on the polished floors. The air quickly fills with the metallic clang of swords, the sharp crack of firearms, and the pained grunts of falling men. John, Shimazu, and Akira stand shoulder to shoulder, a formidable trio against an overwhelming force. John, ever the master of gunfu, moves with a fluid, almost balletic grace, each shot precise, each movement economical. The recoil of his pistol is a familiar sensation, a rhythm of death he knows too well. He weaves through the chaos, dispatching enemies with practiced ease, the rapid-fire pop-pop-pop of his handgun punctuated by the heavier thwack of his shotgun. Shimazu, a master swordsman, is a force of nature. His katana gleams under the emergency lights, slicing through the air with a chilling whoosh. We hear the sharp clink of steel on steel as he parries an attack, followed by the gruesome shick as his blade finds its mark. He moves with the speed of a man half his age, a whirlwind of traditional Japanese combat. Akira, agile and lethal, prefers a more subtle approach, using arrows with pinpoint accuracy. The zip of an arrow flying through the air, followed by a soft thud as it embeds itself into an enemy's throat, is a recurring, deadly sound. She's a ninja with a bow, light on her feet, quick to disappear and reappear, launching her silent projectiles. The fight escalates, spanning across the magnificent interiors of the hotel. They battle through ornate dining rooms, across serene koi ponds where the water is soon stained red, and up grand staircases. The sounds are a constant barrage, the shattering of delicate pottery, the splintering of ancient wood, the desperate shouts of the high-table assassins. John dives, slides, and rolls, his body a well-oiled machine of destruction. He uses his environment, slamming an enemy's head into a bell, the loud clang echoing through the hall, disarming another with a swift kick that sends their weapon clattering to the floor. Then Kane enters the fray. His arrival is marked by a sudden, unnerving silence as he moves through the chaos, seemingly unaffected. His footsteps are light, almost unheard, until he engages. The thwack, thwack, thwack of his cane as it deflects bullets and strikes opponents is incredibly distinctive. He navigates the fight not by sight, but by sound and spatial awareness, a terrifying demonstration of mastery. He confronts Shimazu, a tense standoff between two masters. Their duel is less about brute force and more about precision and timing. The clash of Kane's blade against Shimazu's katana is sharp, metallic, a dance of death. Each strike, each parry is meticulously calculated. Shimazu fights with honor, Kane with reluctant duty. The air crackles with the intensity of their exchange until, with a swift, brutal movement, Kane tragically bests Shimazu. The elder collapses, a heavy thud as his body hits the ground, his lifeblood spilling onto the polished floor. Akira, devastated by her father's death, unleashes a torrent of rage. She screams, a raw, guttural sound of grief and fury, and launches herself at Kane, her arrows flying with increased ferocity. But Kane, stoic and regretful, simply disarms her, gently admonishing her to live. He's not a monster, he's a man trapped, a theme that resonates throughout the film. John, having witnessed the tragic fall of his friend, promises Akira vengeance for her father, a silent vow that fuels his next steps. The Osaka battle leaves the hotel in ruins, a beautiful monument toppled by the high table's relentless pursuit. The lingering smell of gunpowder and blood hangs heavy in the air.
John makes his way to Berlin, seeking the head of the German crime syndicate, Killa, to get his family marking approved. Killa is a wonderfully over-the-top character, a corpulent, gold-toothed villain who finds amusement in the chaos he creates. He holds court in a pumping nightclub, a scene of throbbing techno music and flashing lights. John, accompanied by the brooding, taciturn Mr. Nobody, aka Tracker, navigates the pulsating crowd. Tracker, a new character, is a bounty hunter with a keen sense for tracking John, aided by his loyal dog. He observes, calculates, and occasionally intervenes, always for a price, always pragmatic. His dog, a magnificent Belgian Malinois, is an absolute legend, capable of taking down fully armored men with a single guttural bark and a fierce bite. The growls of the dog, the screams of the victims, and a rapid chomping sounds are all perfectly integrated into the chaotic fights. The nightclub sequence is a whirlwind of stylized violence. John, in his usual crisp suit, moves through the kaleidoscope of lights and booming bass, a dark silhouette of purpose. The techno music, usually a backdrop for dancing, now provides a frantic soundtrack to an unfolding slaughter. Each gunshot is almost absorbed by the overwhelming bass, making the close-quarters combat feel even more visceral and disorienting. He fights through waves of Killa's heavily armed goons, each punch a sharp crack, each kick a bone-jarring thud. He uses the environment, as always, smashing heads into speakers, sending bodies tumbling over railings, sliding across slippery dance floors. The bright flashes of muzzle fire illuminate the gyrating bodies, turning the club into a frantic, strobe-lit arena of death. Killa himself is a surprisingly formidable opponent, despite his size. He laughs maniacally as John fights his way through his henchmen, enjoying the spectacle. The confrontation with Killa is a brutal, extended brawl. John, already battered from Osaka, takes a serious beating. Killa's size means his punches land with significant force, each blow a heavy thud against John's ribs. There's a particular sequence on a staircase in the club where John is repeatedly thrown down, each tumble a bone-rattling series of thumps and scrapes. He falls, picks himself up, and keeps going, an almost Sisyphean task. It's almost comical how many times he just refuses to stay down. Seriously, the guy has more lives than a cat, and probably more broken bones, too. This is where Tracker, seeing a lucrative opportunity, occasionally lends a hand, his dog tearing into opponents with ferocious growls and snarls, the sharp rip of fabric and flesh echoing amidst the club's din. After a grueling, exhausting fight, John finally dispatches Killa, a messy, violent end befitting the character. The specific, almost sickening squelch of the final blow is a testament to the sheer force John uses. With Killa eliminated, John secures his family marker, a crucial step towards his duel. He also has a brief, poignant conversation with Kane, who is also in Berlin on the Marquis' orders. Their exchange is laced with unspoken history, regret, and the grim reality of their situation. Kane reveals the depth of the Marquis' cruelty, showing John the tattoo of his daughter, the leverage used against him. It's a moment of shared understanding between two men forced to be on opposite sides. The faint murmur of the city outside the club offers a momentary calm before the storm. Now, with the family marker in hand, John heads back to Paris. This is where the film truly shifts into overdrive, a relentless, exhilarating chase that pushes John to his absolute limits. The Marquis, aware of John's intention to duel, sets an astronomical bounty on his head, making every assassin in Paris, and possibly the world, a potential threat. The streets of Paris become a deadly gauntlet. The bounty posters with John's face are everywhere, a constant reminder of the price on his head. The first major set piece in Paris is a high-speed chase around the Arc de Triomphe. John is in a car, a muscle car that screams, "Don't mess with me," navigating the iconic, chaotic roundabout. The scene is a masterclass in vehicular combat and close-quarters gunplay. The screech of tires, the roar of engines, and the incessant clink and crunch of metal as cars collide fill the air. John leans out of his window, his pistol spitting fire, each bang a thunderous punctuation mark in the symphony of destruction. He's not just driving, he's fighting, ducking, and weaving, using the car itself as a weapon, ramming into pursuing vehicles with a satisfying thump. Assassins on motorcycles swarm him, their bikes revving loudly as they try to cut him off. He swerves, making a precise turn, causing one bike to crash into another with a loud smash. He pulls out his shotgun, the heavier boom echoing even above the din of traffic, blasting away at anyone who gets too close. The camera work here is incredible, putting us right in the thick of the action, feeling every impact, every near miss. Bodies fly through the air, cars spin out of control, tires squeal in protest, and the relentless rat-a-tat-tat of automatic gunfire is a constant, terrifying backdrop. It's utter, beautiful vehicular mayhem. People are just trying to get their groceries, and John Wick is turning the city into a giant pinball machine. After surviving the Arc de Triomphe, John is forced to navigate the bustling, weapon-filled streets on foot. The bounty is so high that everyone, from casual hitmen to seasoned professionals, is trying to collect. This leads to a series of incredible, escalating confrontations. We see John fighting in an abandoned building that resembles a dilapidated art gallery, its broken windows letting in shards of moonlight. Here, he encounters a new type of enemy, a group of highly trained henchmen wearing armored suits that are almost impervious to bullets. Normal shots just ping off their chest plates, a frustrating metallic sound. This forces John to adapt, and he pulls out a special combat shotgun that fires incendiary rounds. The whoosh and crackle of the flames, coupled with the heavier thwack of the slugs, makes for a truly spectacular and brutal sequence. He lights them up, turning them into walking, screaming torches, the scent of burning flesh, implied, of course, hanging in the air. This weapon, especially when viewed from an overhead shot, becomes a beacon of destruction, each fiery blast pushing enemies back, forcing them to reconsider their life choices. The screams of the burning men are particularly harrowing, a testament to the sheer destructive power John wields. It's a moment where you think, okay, that's a new level of extreme, even for John Wick. The next iconic sequence takes place in an apartment building, where John is hunted from floor to floor. This scene is filmed almost entirely from an overhead perspective, a truly unique and breathtaking choice. We see John as a tiny figure, a deadly human pinball navigating rooms, dispatching foes with his fire-breathing shotgun. Each thump of a body hitting the floor, each gasp of a dying man, is amplified by the silence of the top-down view. He moves methodically, clearing rooms, the fiery explosions illuminating the floor plans. The clatter of empty shells, the creak of floorboards underfoot, the rapid-fire bang, bang, bang of his pistol are all distinct sounds in this almost video game-like perspective. He drops through floors, crashes through ceilings, always moving, always fighting, a relentless, unstoppable force.
The sheer number of bad guys he goes through in this one building alone is enough to make you wonder where they get all these people. Are they just recruiting off Craigslist? As dawn approaches, John is desperately making his way towards the duel location, the Sacré-Cœur Basilica, but he still has to get past the relentless onslaught of bounty hunters. The final stretch to the duel is a terrifying race against time, with the Marquis' enforcers, led by the stoic Chidi, close behind. John is battered, bruised, and exhausted, each step a struggle. He climbs countless stairs leading up to the basilica, a seemingly endless ascent. This is where the comedy, albeit dark comedy, kicks in. Every time he thinks he's made it, someone kicks him down, sending him tumbling down dozens of steps with a cacophony of thuds and scrapes. The sound of his body bouncing off stone, then hitting the bottom with a painful oof, is repeated so many times it almost becomes a running gag. You can practically hear the collective groan of the audience. Kane is there too, of course, reluctantly pursuing John. Their interactions on the stairs are moments of quiet resignation, as Kane, despite his orders, sometimes subtly helps John, or at least doesn't actively hinder him as much as he could. Tracker and his dog are also present, adding to the chaos, the dog's fierce barks and growls piercing through the sound of gunfire and struggling men. The dog, ever vigilant, takes down more than its fair share of high-table goons, its teeth clamping down with a sickening crunch. Finally, after what feels like an eternity of fighting and falling, John, Kane, and Tracker reach the summit of the stairs, just as the sun begins to rise. The beautiful glow of dawn provides a stunning, almost spiritual backdrop to the impending duel. It's a moment of breathtaking visual artistry, contrasting the brutality with the serene beauty of the city. The duel itself is a meticulously orchestrated affair, overseen by the High Table's harbinger, a man of solemn authority. Winston acts as John's second, his expression grave but determined. The rules are laid out with chilling precision: 5 paces, specific weapons, and a final shot if the opponent is incapacitated. The air is thick with tension, the sounds of distant city life muted, all attention focused on the two men. John Wick and Kane face each other, pistols in hand, the polished metal glinting in the morning light. The wind whispers softly, a stark contrast to the thunder that's about to erupt. They take their 5 paces, each step a heavy thud on the ancient stone. The silence is deafening, broken only by their breathing. The first shot rings out, a sharp crack that echoes across the plaza. Neither man falls. They reload, the metallic clink of cartridges being chambered precise and deliberate. Another round of shots, still standing. The intensity is almost unbearable. It's a true test of wills, skill, and sheer endurance. This continues for several rounds, each gunshot a percussive blow to the silence, until John, after taking a shot to the hand, falters. He's badly wounded, his face grimacing in pain. The Marquis, gloating, steps forward, invoking the final rule. If the challenger cannot continue, the second takes their place. Winston, ready to fight for John, steps up, his resolve unwavering. But John, with a sudden surge of his infamous tenacity, cuts the Marquis off, declaring that he has not yet fired his final shot. He has one more bullet. The Marquis, smug and overconfident, doesn't check John's gun. He believes John is out of ammunition. He turns to Kane, expecting him to deliver the killing blow to John. Kane, with a heavy sigh of resignation, raises his pistol. The bang of Kane's final shot cracks through the air. John crumples, taking a shot to the chest, falling heavily to the ground with a soft thud. The Marquis, triumphant, struts forward, ready to deliver the coup de grace, the final humiliating bullet into John. But as he steps closer, John, with a strength that defies his injuries, quickly brings up his own pistol, which he had subtly reloaded. The metallic snick of the hammer being pulled back is almost imperceptible. A single, final crack rips through the air. This time, it's John's bullet, aimed perfectly at the Marquis.
The Marquis' eyes widen in disbelief and pain, a choked gasp escaping his lips as he slumps to the ground, dead. The heavy thud of his body is the sound of the high table's oppressive grip loosening, at least for a moment. Winston, seeing John's defiance and sacrifice, quickly claims victory, a calculated move to secure John's freedom and his own reinstatement. With the Marquis dead, the duel is won, and John Wick is officially free from the high table. The Harbinger, his face impassive, confirms the victory, the words a formal declaration of John's liberation. John, his mission accomplished, sits on the steps, gravely wounded, watching the sunrise. The silence is profound now, the violence momentarily ceased. He whispers the names of his beloved wife, Helen, and his dog, a poignant, almost prayer-like murmur. He then gently closes his eyes, his head slumping forward. Winston and the Bowery King approach, their faces somber. There's a lingering question, a palpable uncertainty in the air. Did he make it? Has he finally found peace? We then see Winston visiting a grave, marked with John's name and loving husband. The epitaph simply says, John Wick. The Bowery King stands beside him, both men sharing a moment of quiet reflection and respect. The wind rustles through the leaves, a gentle, sorrowful sound. The air is crisp, the sun warm, a picture of tranquil finality. But wait! Just when you think it's over, the credit scene gives us one last delicious little sting. Akira, still reeling from her father's death, stalks Cain through a bustling market. She is carrying her bow, a single arrow nocked and ready. She approaches him from behind, her footsteps almost silent. Cain, ever alert, hears something, a subtle shift in the air, a rustle of clothing. He turns, a flicker of concern on his face, but it's too late. The zip of her arrow is the last sound we hear, leaving his fate and her vengeance deliciously ambiguous. It's a perfect little cherry on top, reminding us that even in victory, the cycle of violence in this world never truly ends. What a perfect little cliffhanger, leaving us wanting more, yet knowing that this particular chapter is firmly, tragically closed for our Baba Yaga. This film, at its heart, explores the profound weight of choice, the relentless pursuit of freedom, and the sacrifices demanded by a life lived outside the norm. John Wick's journey is one of immense suffering, but also of unwavering resolve. His fight isn't just for survival, it's for the simple desire to be free, to choose his own path, even if that path is paved with countless bodies. The movie asks us to consider the price of liberation, the true cost of peace, and whether escaping one prison only leads to another. It highlights the unbreakable bonds of friendship and loyalty, even when tested by the most extreme pressures, and the tragic irony that sometimes, to truly live, one must first die. It's a brutal ballet of death, yes, but also a poignant reflection on finding solace in the face of inevitable entropy. John Wick, Chapter 4, is an absolute spectacle of action filmmaking, pushing boundaries and delivering some of the most intricate, relentless, and visually stunning sequences we've ever seen. The sheer commitment to practical effects, the innovative camera work, and the incredible performances make it a truly landmark entry in the action genre. It's a fitting, albeit melancholic, send-off for a character who has redefined what a modern action hero can be, leaving an indelible mark on cinematic history with its unparalleled style and heart-pounding intensity. It's a movie that demands to be experienced, not just watched.